and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I'll recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
November Romeo 6 Hotel, Anders.
This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta with the YouTube, and also we have Jen KI1 TTY on our YouTube chat, as well as George N6 Yankee Golf.
Well, so far I have Anders NR6H. Good evening, Anders and Carol KP4MD. We had a perfect double or triple, so let's try that again. Stations who want to join, come now.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in northmost Roseville.
Bob, N6PGQ, and we doubled again, but I pulled you out. Other station that just doubled with N6PGQ.
Sure if you got me, N6YG.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, Joel in Florida.
Copy November 6 Yankee Golf, George, and Joel, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Joel, you're, it sounds like you have full quieting with the repeater, but I could barely hear you as though you were not near the mic.
Is this any better?
I can copy you, but it's not much better. It's very quiet. Are there any other stations that would like to check into tonight's Slow Scan TV Net?
For the mic and levels for the radio. I'll have to see if I can figure that out, how to bring myself up and not bring the radio up.
Okay, copy that. I am able to copy, and I don't know what others are hearing. NR6H, how do you copy AI6DG?
I copy you well, AI6DG. You are definitely weak on the audio, so pump up the volume, NR6H.
Any other stations that would like to check in tonight? All right, this is James, Alpha Echo 6, Juliet Golf, Net Control for River City Arc Slow Scan TV. In this order, Anders NR6H, Carol KP4MD, Bob N6PGQ, George N6YG, Joel AI6DG, and me AE6JG. I'll go last. And we also want to say hello to Jen, Kilo India 1 Tango Tango Yankee, who's watching us on YouTube. All right, Anders, are you ready to start?
I hope so, and good evening, everybody. Here is NR6H with PD120. Here we go.
E6JG. Well, that's a really interesting image. I'll let others take a guess first before I guess, starting with Carol, KP4MG.
Okay, this is KP4MD. I have a really interesting situation going on with my MMSSTV. It turned out that somebody started sending the beginning of a PD120 picture while you were still asking for check-ins. And my MMSSTV, since it has auto start, started copying the top of that picture, and then it continued just trying to capture a picture from people talking voice, and it was the raster was just going down to the bottom of the image, and then there was no image, though. It was just up close. But it's got a little LCD display on the front and several buttons. I can't really read the printing.
On my computer, the image corrected itself, so we had a stray slow scan TV signal in there that triggered things, and I'm watching on YouTube too, so I see what happened. So hopefully it corrects itself on the next cycle. Bob, N6PGQ, comments on Anders' picture.
Well, I too had my computer start decoding, and then Anders sent his in, and it stopped decoding. It looks to me, and I'm just guessing, as you know, that this is a tool for stuffing boards.
Actually, that's exactly what I have too. It looks like the image was created by taking a photo of a video. George, N6YG, go ahead.
I agree. This is an automated part stuffer. You can see the linear rods, the two linear rods below the tool head. You can see the black cable chain back, and it curves around the tool head, and then on the other side you'll see tape reels. The tape reels contain the various components, and so the tool head goes over, picks up goes over and places the component into the circuit board. So yeah, very similar to technology as like a 3D printer or a 3-in, except very simple. It's just 2 axes, 3 axes actually. So yeah, you have an X, a Y, and a Z, because it's got to be able to go up and down to place the component. So that's what my guess is on it, and it's definitely a screenshot, probably from maybe a YouTube video or something like that. You can see the progress bar and the play bar, so someone did a screenshot and edited it. It came over good here. I don't, transmission keeps triggering PD120 on mine, so I have to be very attentive of that, because several times it just automatically started decoding when nothing was going, so you got to stop it. Maybe the sensitivity is too high.
Thanks, George. N6YG. Joel, AI6DG. Let's see if you have your voice transmission stronger. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think I do. So we got a pick-and-place machine, as people have mentioned. Small or medium scale. This is not large industrial size that would be done for thousands of boards. This is for relatively small runs. Oddly enough, though, I've got a lot of tearing on the right side of the screen, and an actual break in the image near the very top of the image. So something out of whack or disagreement between my system and whoever sent this. Back to Net AI6TG.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah, you are a little hard to copy. We copied most of that. I have a pretty clean picture with hard-to-see pixel pops throughout because of the grayish and black. Anders, NR6H, looks like something's going on in China here. Go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, it's not going on in China. I said many years ago this beast came from China, for sure, so it is a Chinese machine. I will hence call it the part stuffer. That's a new name to me. Joel was right. It's a pick-and-place machine. That's the official name of these machines. This is a very small one. I bought this, I'd say 15 years ago probably, from China. Came in a big crate. It's heavy still, even though it's small for what it is. It's when things are massive and stand on the factory floor, but this is a small benchtop version made for prototyping. And we ran this just the other day, so I took a little movie out of it because it's much more fun when it moves. That's why this is a still from that little video clip. But it's like George said, I believe the reels of components are on the far left there, and they get pulled forward one component at a time, and that little head with the two LEDs on it there moves across, picks it up, has a vacuum, little vacuum tube that it picks it up with, moves the component over, turns it the right way, and shoves it down on the board. And the board, the green board there, has been it's called printing. It's really that you put little paste on it, solder paste, where the solder joints are going to be. So you put that on the board first, so that the components kind of stick in that goop. It's not very sticky. It's kind of like toothpaste, but it's enough to keep these components from flying off. So that's what this machine is doing. It's stuffing roughly 2 components per second, which is very handy to use for prototyping or very small production series. When we talk about definitely less than 100, you wouldn't want to do a bigger run than that on this machine. But that's what it is. It's a pick-and-place machine. And just thought it was a fun still from that little movie. So that's what I'm sharing with the group today. That's all from NR6H. Back to AE6JG.
Thanks, Anders. That's really cool. I'd love to see that in real life operating. Carol, KP4MD, I see that you posted on YouTube that you're having some internet problems, but hopefully you're able to transmit an image. Are you able to transmit an image?
Yes, Roger, we'll do that. I'm just, I'm really sorry, but we're having some intermittent problems with the YouTube stream, so it's breaking in and out sometimes. But we'll continue on with what we can do here. Is KP4MD, this will be PD120. AE6JG, I copy a Smokey and the Bandit, I think, image. Let's go to Anders NR6H to comment.
Yeah, being Swedish, I can...
You're right about Burt Reynolds, very good. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, you've got Jackie Gleason and Sally Field. It looks like this is a promo shot for like a poster or something to that effect that you would put in a theater. He's not sitting on a Firebird. He's kind of on the hood, or it looks like image of a hood of the truck that was hauling Coors beer that was the goal to get it to the south. And Sally's holding on to the microphone for the CB radio. Got the bandit here, and he's hunting for a way to deliver his beer. Good quality, quite a few pixel pops going across, but they're hidden in the picture. N6PGQ.
Carol, KP4MD. Given the colors, I almost thought this was an image from like a fancy dinner plate. But go ahead, Carol. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Bob got it right. This is it's a part of a poster movie that was pretty much all the rage during the peak of the CB craze, which I believe was in the 1970s, and that's really hard to, this thing is 50 years old now, and for those of us who remember it in our youth, it's almost like yesterday remembering this stuff. But CB definitely was something that was a gateway drug for many people to eventually get into amateur radio. But I was really kind of struggling to put something to send, and I just happened to have this. I had it downloaded, so it was the quickest and easiest thing to do. Since it has the 2-meter net was closing, I believe, and so I was scrambling to clean up the mess I had here so I could get on slow scan. Didn't have anything better to put on. So back to nets, KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. No, it reminds me of my youth, and CB radio was my gateway for sure. Hey Bob, N6PGQ AE6JG, net control for the slow scan TV River City Arcs Wednesday night. Bob, it's your turn.
Okay, well, I'm getting close to the end of my analog adventures, so we'll send a PD-120.
All right, let's move to George, N6YG. George, comments on Bob's
brass drum, or the drum rotates and there's little dimples in the drum that activate the individual notes. And of course the gear drive, it looks like there may be, I can't tell quite on the left side there, it looks like there might be another drum. And there's a clutch on it. You look at the gears, you can see the spring. Very interesting. I don't know what the official name for this is, but they find them in music boxes. So good picture. And this goes to show you, if you notice the sync level. Well, I have my software set to show the sync level, and the sync level was very low on his transmission, but the image came out very clear, and that just demonstrates that overdriving the audio, especially on FM, does not improve image quality. If anything, it creates all sorts of harmonics that distort the image. So the lower the audio output, you know, to a point, it seems like the pictures come out better when the audio drive to the transmitter is lower. So I have an HT that I put on the input, and I have it sitting right next to me so I can listen to my own signal. N6YG, good picture.
Thanks, George. AE6JG here. Joel, AI6DG, comments on Bob's picture.
Well, I hesitate to say music box, but that's certainly what it looks like. The last time I said that, I was proven wrong, and it turned out to be a grandfather clock. Still doesn't look like a. That's an interesting observation. And as far as the sync, well, I have been getting shear tears on the right all night, except for this image. So, at least my system seems to agree with his on this one. I do see a bar. Oh, maybe it is a tear, but I see a bar about a third of the way down, a quarter of the way down, in the middle of the top right drum. Back to Net AI6TG.
Thanks, Joel. Bob, N6PGQ, tell us where does this come from? What is it, and where is it from?
Well, we showed the inside of a grandfather clock, and then the pins that we're controlling a carillon. And yes, these are the combs that are progressively shorter that are inside a music box. And this one's from about the turn of the century. The brass pins at the top on the tube is about maybe a foot or 11 inches. It's a fairly large music box. It's got a glass top on it so that you can watch the mechanism go along and play the tunes. And smallest music box, but it's a lot smaller than the carillon was in 6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. It's really a very cool picture. This is Alpha Echo 6 Juliet Golf James in Gold River hosting the Slow Scan TV Wednesday evening. George, November 6 Yankee Golf. It's your turn to share an image.
Right. Well, this is actually one of two because they're directly related. Let me send a tone. Let me know what the signal sounds like.
A nice clear signal, George. N6YG got really clear copy here. Let me ask Bob N6PGQ to comment.
Yeah, I got a really good clear copy here. Very, very few pixel pops. You can see them in the black borders and in the white section that's probably ice. We have at the top N6YG, SSTV version 1.13.3, and YONIQ, and the image says United States Antarctic Program, National Science Foundation, with a image of the Antarctic, South Pole. Very, very nice copy. Be interested to know if this is a patch or what it is in 6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Anders, do you have further comments in our 6H?
See the picture very well. Black bars on the sides, but the picture is clear, good colors, good sharpness, and just a few handful of pixel pops. I actually recognize this. I believe my dad actually had this on a sticker or a pin or a plaque or something like that. He went there, so he was on one of these expeditions down there, and he has had that in his trove. So he was a big traveler in his days for sure. So yeah, this feels familiar to me. NR6H, back to net.
A6JG here. Thanks, Anders. That's really interesting. George, N6YG, tell us about this.
This is a McMurdo coin. Very rare. Only people who go to Antarctica or McMurdo Station receive these. This was sent to me by a friend of mine who's in Antarctica. Kind of as a it felt bad for me. I had many years ago submitted a research proposal to the National Science Foundation. You can do this. They have a program where civilians or researchers can submit research proposals for consideration, and they select like 10 or 15 people to go. And so I had submitted a proposal, and a research proposal, and it had been accepted. And the only thing left to do was the physical, because there's some physical training involved, and you have to go in for a physical. And anyways, I ended up getting the notification that it was my proposal had been accepted about a year after I injured my back. So my back injury disqualified me from going. But so my friend sent me this because he went.
Thank you for sharing that. Joel, AI6DG, are you ready?
Couple of quick tests. What's my audio level?
It's not good, and now it's warbly. Give me a 10 count.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what's going on because the mixer I'm looking at says I have good level going out to the radio. How about the tone? Let me set a tone.
There's some kind of loop. Something's happening. The tone's not good either. Anders, I'm going to ask you to comment. NR6H, the human oscilloscope.
The tone sounds choppy, so not sure what's going on. Something is definitely interfering with you there. NR6H.
Joel, do you want to try to send something to see what happens? Maybe key it so it goes shorter.
Like it's clipping.
Yeah, it's clipping, choppy. Yeah. If you want to try to send something, Joel, we can see if we can copy it. I'm not sure if it'll come through well. Thanks, Joel. This is AE6JG. That was an interesting experiment. Anders, NR6H.
Yeah, somewhat painful. It sounded wrong, and it doesn't look right. So tons of pixel pops, but very evenly spaced in a nice moire pattern over the whole thing. We got a couple of breaks up about 1/4 down the image also. What I can say is that there is a board, I think, in the middle. It kind of looks like the footprint of a PL connector on the right-hand side there of the board, and then it looks like the guts of a matchbox car on the right side. I don't think that's what it is. We have two toroids at the bottom that are wound, and then I can't tell what's on the left or above that board. That is not the thing. And R6H back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Joel, I'm not sure if you're looking at YouTube, but you can see what it looks like on Carol's live stream. Carol, if you're there, KP4MD, comments?
Sure, this is KP4MD. Yep, just what Anders said. I'm thinking that the connector on the right side might be a male BNC PC board mount. It kind of looks like that to me. And it's got the five holes in the PC board that would normally take a PC board mount BNC type connector. And perhaps that one on the left is a female type PC board mount, and I see the two toroids. But yeah, it was like a warbling, a constant warbling throughout the picture, the tone, and it definitely there's a kind of a diagonal pattern through the whole thing that resulted from that irregularity in the tone. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. This is AE6JG. Joel, we can pick out the images. It's also very green, so I don't think the colors came through right. And I don't know if you can see it, but if we can copy you, tell us what you're building there.
Okay, I'll have to go back and listen to the YouTube and take a look at my system. Maybe restart it. I mean, something as simple as just restarting voice meter might make a difference, or restarting MMS SSTV, or rebooting the system. I don't know. Because anyway, yes, I'm building a broadcast band filter. So it's a high-pass filter, toroid in the bottom, the circuit board in the center. It's already got 3 small little capacitors inserted into the board. I haven't actually soldered them yet. And then there's a male BNC PC board mount on the right and a female on the left that I haven't mounted on the board obviously yet. And then on the black thing on top is a section of shrink wrap that will go around the whole thing when I'm done. And this is for the Zygus X6100 in particular, but should work on any QRP rig to block the broadcast bands. The Zygus really susceptible to front-end overload, so this basically makes a difference between the radio being usable or not, at least for me where I am. Back to net, AI6TG.
Thank you, Joel, AI6TG, AE6JG. Hopefully you get the sound on your radio fixed. It may be as simple as turning things back on and off, and it's just a gremlin. Who knows? But that's a good project. I am seeing a Robot 72 transmission coming in. Carol, do you see that?
Negative. No. Negative.
N6PGQ. Do you see that? Do you see that transmission coming in?
No, nothing came in.
That's funny. My screen got wiped out by Robot 72 noise. All right. Let me see if anybody's out there that wants to join us. I'm a little late on that. Anybody else out there that would like to share an image before I do mine? Okay, PD 120. All right, Bob, N6PGQ, comments on that beautiful image.
Well, the image came through real well, few pixel pops. It looks like somebody is doing something new. They've got the manual down in the lower left part of the table, and the pouch open looks kind of like a buddy stick, perhaps, of parts. You can see the coils with the taps on them. And the table apparently has an umbrella on it because it's got a crank. There's a chair in the background. Whole stuff. Probably a blue battery, control for the radio, a zipper carrying bag in the back, and what looks like some sand on a tripod on the side of the picture. Interested to know how successful transmission was in you.
Thanks, Bob. At the end of your transmission, you were cutting in and out. I don't know what's causing that. Let me go back to Anders to check Bob's transmission, NR6H. What did you hear?
Well, interestingly, your picture as it was transmitting right at the end, you had that audio fade, same thing that Bob had, and you also had on your last transmission. So something's going on with the repeater.
And I just lost you. Yes, I think something's happening with the repeater. And Carol, I heard you respond on YouTube when I asked that prior question, but
Yeah, okay, this is KP4MD. I think you turned it over to me. Yeah, this is, looks like you're operating out of your backyard trying a new radio because you got the manual open and you're looking at the manual. It's got the separation kit cable, and you've got the control head and it's pointing towards you there. And I don't know, it looks like one of those Rig Expert things is to the left of your speaker. And I'm thinking that that's a buddy pole, not a buddy stick, because you have two identical coils there, and that usually is what comes with the buddy pole. Yeah, the lithium battery, and I think that big zipper bag is what the buddy pole comes in. That's in the back there, and you probably have the buddy pole matching tripod there in the background with some weights holding down the legs. Back to you, it's KP4MD.
Carol, we lost most of your transmission. There may be an issue with the repeater. I think NR6H may be right. George, were you able to copy Carol?
Either that or someone's fooling around on playing.
Yeah, the same issue. I'll explain this picture next week because I don't think anybody can copy me. Can you hear me?
I can hear everybody on reverse.
All right. Let's go to reverse and see if we can finish this.
No, I won't be able to hear you on the reverse out here in Lincoln.
I hear you.
VHF frequency, 145520, I think, or 250. Let's move over there to finish our discussion.
You were good all the way through on that one.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let's if everybody's okay, let's just move to 145250 to end the net.
That's why.
Let me see if everybody's there. NR6H.
Well, the system.
NR6H here.
N6YG.
N6PGQ.
Joel or Carol?
AI6TG.
Gotcha, N6YG and AI6TG. Okay. Well, any last comments? Let's see. Anders and Carol made a comment. I'll just tell you what this is. I was practicing using this old ICOM 5100 that I bought used. Joel and Anders actually gave me sound checks on it as I was experimenting with a 2-meter configuration on the buddy pole. There's a J-pole configuration and a horizontal configuration, and in a second I'm going to ask for opinions about that. There's a Rig Expert Stick Pro on the table, the 5100, a 15 amp hour battery, an external speaker. What else? Oh, and the sandbags on the tripod, which were my most recent project, was getting those on Amazon. The hardest thing there was picking the right color. Any comments?
What components on the table or the radio itself?
In the center left is the screen for the 5100 on a mounted on a stand, and to the right of the blue battery is the radio box with the microphone coming out of it. The external speaker is behind the radio control. Did I answer your question, Joel? AS6DG, AE6JG.
Okay, so the Rig Expert stick is the leftmost, then we've got the speaker, and then we got the battery in blue, and below that the display, and to the right of the battery is the radio body.
QSL, yes, that's right, exactly. The question I have for you is the buddy pole allows me to do a 2-meter J-pole configuration where one whip's about like 43 inches and another's about 16 inches, both pointing straight up. Or you can set it where you have two very short whips, about 15 inches each, creating a horizontal dipole. They both worked well. The dipole had lower SWR. I'm curious, because many of you have more experience than I do. This setup I'm going to be using Saturday morning, by the way, for an Aries event, the Sacramento Century Challenge, a 100-mile bike ride. I'll be down by the Capitol, bike ride to Rio Vista, and I'll be net control for the day for that bike ride. And we have about 20 radio operators out there with SAG vehicles. I'm just wondering, horizontal or J-pole? Any thoughts?
J-pole.
If you're going to a repeater, the antenna on the repeater is going to be vertical, so you want to be vertical.
And R6H concurs.
Well, I was aiming to that, even though the SWR is slightly higher. The J-pole also allows me to do UHF if I need to. All right, any last comments or questions before I close the net? We do have an issue with the 441 repeater.
And R6H question?
Go ahead, NR6H.
So when that thing is in a J-pole configuration, do you move the feed point at all, or does it stay the same, NR6H?
It's the traditional old buddy pole, so the feed point stays at the center point, but you point the whips straight up.
Okay, that's interesting. Then I guess that's why that would explain why the SWR is a little higher. So, but if that's what they say it should work as, that's follow the manual, I would say, and R6H.
How much higher is the SWR?
I think we're looking at the difference between 1.1 or 1.2 to 1.5 to 1.7.
Yeah, 1.7 is getting high for a lot of modern transceivers. I mean, not high as it's just at the point where the radio might start folding back a bit of power. Generally, 1.7 is not considered that high, but anyhow, interesting. Yeah, the J-pole would be vertically polarized. The other one is the other dipole is horizontally polarized. So there's going to be something like 30 dBs of cross-polarization loss. Generally horizontals for single sideband use on 2 meters, N6YG.
Copy that, right. I think that's the intent. And that's what's in the buddy pole instructions. The J-pole setup is just the hack that people have come up with before. I will be using low power. I'll probably be on 5 watts. I've had no trouble reaching the repeater, so that should probably help.
I'd just get it as high as possible. Height can trump a lot of things.
Yeah, and this is an 18-foot mast, so I can try to go up high. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate your feedback. Any last comments before I close the net?
As a side note, J-poles, if you don't already know this, are very reactive antennas. They interact with their near-field environment quite a bit, more so than other antennas. They also react to coax placement because a lot of the feed line is radiating with the J-pole. So sometimes you can bring that SWR down by putting a choke at the coax feed point, or even some clamp-on ferrites. But sometimes that does the opposite of the intent. Sometimes it'll increase the SWR. So anyhow, N6NA with just some thoughts.
Now, thanks, George. I'll experiment with that and see what happens. I hadn't thought about using chokes. I mean, we'll be on VHF the entire time, so it hadn't occurred to me to do that. But in terms of the reactiveness of that setup, yes, and I'll have to make sure I'm staying away from any other antennas as well. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight for Slow Scan TV Net. This is the River City Amateur Radio Communications Society Wednesday night Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 10:02 p.m. Pacific time. This is James, Alpha Echo 6 Juliet Golf, wishing all of you a good evening.